2007 and the next T20 World Cup is what I'd like your thoughts about. Not the 2007 T20 World Cup, but the 2007 ODI World Cup, where the team wasn't doing well. What do you think happened out there? Because on paper, that perhaps was the strongest team ever.
I mean, we didn't have a good atmosphere in the dressing room. When the team is not gelling together, results are not going to come by.
What does that mean, a good atmosphere? Because one would imagine that, there are kids who are just going out to play a game, and ideally there should be a happy atmosphere. That's what the average Joe thinks. But what is not a good atmosphere?
When kids going out there to play, they have a fearless mind. When adults go out to play, they have a fearful mind. So the atmosphere in the team means like guys are not gelling, the decisions that are happening, people not agreeing with that. There are groups in the team, and there's not a good vibe, So all those things were happening. As I said, talk about Tendulkar, he was our best player. He was batting at number 4, which I don't think was the right decision at that time. But again, it's debatable. And then obviously, a lot of guys were dropped, and then they came back in the side just before the World Cup. So it was just not a good time in Indian cricket. And you learn from it and you move forward.
MS Dhoni usually does not speak much. You said in the game against Australia, while he was getting out, he walked past you and said, "Shabash, Yuvi, khatam karke aana."
Yeah, I think it was a very high pressure game. And normally, if you look at our stats, me and Mahi have had a lot of big partnerships.
Incredible ones. Yeah, we don't need to look at stats. We'll just jog our memory down, and our childhood has been colored with some great partnerships.
But also big games.
Big games as well.
Big games, and I remember, and the thing is that we lost to Australia 2003 World Cup final, and that's obviously playing in your mind, and then you're chasing 265, they got you 180 for 5, and Dhoni got out. And I remember him, normally if he gets out or I get out, we just go back to the dressing room, and he just walked past and he said, "Shabash, Yuvi." And I was like, yeah, there's no pressure here, and you just said that. In my head, I was thinking.
Next week, we have the ODI World Cup starting. What do you think are our chances?
Our chances are looking good now. I was not sure before the Asia Cup because a lot of guys were injured. Jasprit Bumrah, one of our main bowlers, coming back. But with the Asia Cup performances and now beating a top side like Australia, I think we're looking good. And I just feel the pressure is going to be different this time because there is no quarterfinal. You play everyone and you straight away go in a big game like semi-final.
Yeah.
And if you have a bad session in that game, you could lose the game. So the pressure is going to be very quick, very certain if India qualifies. So I just hope that the game time they will have in the 9, 11 games, 12 games, whatever they play, and on a big game, they're able to absorb that pressure.
What would you say your mindset, preparation should be for these 9 to 11 games that you're going to play?
Well, I would say that play the situation, not the expectation. Because in our country, the expectation is India has come to win. India is only going to win. India beats Pakistan, we won the World Cup. You have to realize that people expectations always, they want their country to win because they will expect that from you because you're one of the best teams in the world. But the point is that if you are good enough to play the situation and sail through, I'm sure you will end up playing the World Cup final.
Let me put you on the spot then. Your top 4 semi-final teams would be?
Obviously India, I think Australia. So there is England, New Zealand and South Africa. I would probably say New Zealand and South Africa.
New Zealand and South Africa. So India, Australia.
I would pick 5.
Okay, you would pick 5.
Yeah.
Because you're Yuvraj Singh, we'll give you 5 as well. But let's ask you a couple of fun questions now. So tell me about the innovation in pranks, because you were the master prankster of the team along with Bhaji. Give me a couple of these innovative pranks that you played.
Because Saurav Ganguly played a very bad prank on me when I was making my debut.
What did he do?
He told me that I'm going to open against Australia.
Wow.
And I had a sleepless night. And next day he's like, मैं ही open करता हूँ रे, मजाक कर रहा तेरे साथ.
So were you happy at not opening or were you happy at not being given the opening slot?
I was very happy not opening because all night I dreamt about McGrath, Gillespie and Brett Lee bowling
Wow.
150, 145, 140 at me. And then obviously I was like, okay, I didn't say anything to Dada. I was like, one day if I stay in the team, I will give it back. And then we were playing Pakistan in 2004. And me and Bhaji made a false paper of Times of India where Dada's given false statements about his players, that he's not happy with his teammates and some guys are not supporting him. And obviously, we go in the morning, we tell the whole team we're going to play a prank on Dada because it's April Fool's Day, showing the paper, and Dada has obviously gone red in his face and he goes, I have not said this. If I have said this, I will resign just now. So he's walking towards the media to give a statement, and Rahul touches his shoulder, like, April Fool's Day, Dada. And he's like, Kisne kiya re? So obviously people pointed to me and Bhaji, and he started running after us. And I was like, relax, Dada, we have a match to play.
Have you ever pulled a fast one on Sachin?
I tried to, but he was always a bit ahead of everyone, just like on bowlers, so very
Has
tough.
he pulled a fast one on you?
Every time.
What has he done?
I don't know. In conversation, obviously, he has a great sense of humor. It's very hard to win from him in a conversation. And we always played TT. We always battled in table tennis.
Yeah.
And till now, after 20 years, trying to figure out to beat him in table tennis.
How do you physically endure the kind of pain that you are playing with when you are on the ground? Because mentally you can be strong, you can say, okay, one more over, I have to bat, one more ball, I have to bat. But when that leather hits, it really stings, hurts, right? How do you play with pain?
See, I think you get used to it. You get used to getting injured or falling on the park, and you take a lot of inspiration from other sports. The guys who are, in other sports, and you see how dangerous some other sports are. And you have to put your body on line when you're representing a country. You're like I always feel if you're representing a country, you're like a soldier. Country comes first. So I think when you have that kind of motive, everything falls in place.
Everything falls in place, and the way it did fall in place on 2nd April 2011 as well. But cut to exactly a couple of months later, how was it dealing with that at that point in time? And I'm sure initially there was that shock. Thereafter, you started to come to terms with it. How was that process?
Yeah, it was hard because as an athlete, it's hard when you're playing for your country and you're training, you're physically fit, and something like that hits you. I think it's kind of a shock, and I was not able to come to terms with it for a year. I kept on playing, and my health became worse, and eventually the doctor said that you don't have much time. So either you keep playing cricket or you go for your treatment. And that was a shock for me, and then obviously I had to go for my treatment. It was a big setback in my career because I was probably at the peak of my career. And the test spot has just opened up because Dada had retired. So it was unfortunate, but you kind of look back and be proud of yourself through the journey. How I fought and how I prevailed through. And, I was able to inspire a lot of people from there in their journeys, people who were going through cancer. I started my own cancer foundation called UV
Of course.
in 2013 when I came back. Took me about 2 years to get fully fit. I was in and out of the team. And then I eventually came and scored my highest score, so mind over matter. And and here I am.